Oh, I almost fell off my chair there. What's going on, guys? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the Master Grade Hi-Zack. This is obviously not a new release. This kit originally released all the way back in 2004, making it over 20 years old now at this point. And as you guys may know, as I've talked about before, the Hi-Zack, not really one of my favorite versions of the Zaku, but this Master Grade actually does have a pretty nice look to it. I do actually find it kind of charming. The design's growing on me a bit. There's certain aspects of the design that I like more than others. We'll talk about that, but as far as the kit goes, how well does it hold up? That's what we'll find out in today's video. Let's go ahead and get into it. All right, and as far as the box art goes, here you have this cool kind of old retro style Master Grade box art, but it does look really, really nice. I have to say the box art's really cool for this one. Ends of the box going to be featuring the same artwork here, and you can see this one was ripped because this box actually got kind of crushed. So it seems like maybe one or two of the runners might also been a little damaged in there, but the parts should be fine. We'll find out momentarily, but here on the side of the box, you can see the front and rear view of the fully built and somewhat decaled kit here. And then some more detail images showing the head, frame, cockpit, power supply cable, verniers. There are some nice details on this one, of course. And on the other side of the box, we have the action pose and full armament. So you do actually have quite a few different weapon options here with this one, between the two different style kind of rifles, or kind of rifle and beam gun there. And then you do also have this Heat Hawk style weapon, as well as just kind of regular beam saber there. So some nice weapon options. Let's get this thing popped open and check out all the contents inside. First of all, right here, looks like we've got a few different types of decals. We've got a couple of sticker decals here, just a couple of gray little bits like color missing color apps there. Got regular sticker decals for some logos and caution markings and stuff on here, and then some dry transfers as well for some Titans logos, and then some numbers that you can put on there if you wanted to use some dry transfers. Other than that, we'll get to the runners in just a second. I want to check out the instruction manual here, which is again the old style instruction manual with the kind of side bust of the Hi-Zack there, line art. On the back side, we have a couple of larger reference images there of the built and painted kit, front and back. Very nice. On the middle pages here, sworn enemies inside a capsule and a new bonds. Some text there in Japanese with some cool images. Down at the bottom, once again showing a couple of action poses there and some weapons. Obviously, with the age of this kit, I'm not expecting the articulation to be anything too fancy, but as long as you're able to do a couple of cool poses. There's the painting guide right here as well. Again, a couple more detail images of a few different aspects of the kit. If we go back up to the front inside page here, really nice line art there, front and back. Perfect for testing out color schemes, as I always like to remind you guys. And then a bunch of text there in Japanese. We got this page here, which is telling you what everything is. If you just quickly translate that, you can see it'll just be pointing out like what all the different aspects of the design actually are. And then here we have our parts list on the next couple pages. After that, we're on into the construction, and with this being an older Master Grade, we also have these really cool pages here. All the text is in Japanese, but really cool illustrations, these mechanical illustrations of the head, the arm there, and then the leg as well, with all that really nice detail inside. The next page has some more of that here for the body unit and then the weapons as well. Very cool. Skipping over the middle pages and then to the later part of the construction, looks like we might have one more page of illustrations here, or we might not. So that's it for the mechanical illustrations. The last part here, just the weapons and accessories, and then the decal guide, where all the markings are going to be placed around on the design. And that's it. So let's go ahead and get into the runners. Then PC 122, going to be our very largest sheet of polycaps there in gray. Runner SB1 here is going to be our beam sabers there in a regular clear yellow. Then our A runner here is in 4 colors. We've got yellow over here for all those piping bits. That's going to be fun. Red here, gray for some inner frame parts, and then clear down here at the bottom. Runners B and C are going to be our dark green parts. You do have some nice detail on some of these parts, but obviously we're not going to have a ton of color and part separation with an older Master Grade like this. The D runner here is in our lighter shade of green here, and the E runner is in that same color, and here you can see where this runner got crushed. So this kind of part of the runner got crunched in. All the parts are there and the parts are fine, it's just that the runner itself got a little broken. The same thing here, because these were packaged together with the F runner, so you can see this is where the box got smushed in there. The F runner is going to be here in gray, mostly weapons parts there it looks like. The G runner as well here, some more parts in gray. Runner H is some more parts here in the dark green. Runner G2, it looks to be like just basically our parts there for the Heat Hawk. Runners I1 and I2 are also going to be here in gray, parts for the inner frame. These parts though are going to be in ABS plastic. Lastly then, this J runner is in rubber. So you have this soft rubber and like kind of a pale mustardy yellow kind of color here for the tubing parts. And so this will be very flexible, which will be nice, but not as easy to paint and certainly not as easy to clean up these nubs. Although it looks like most of the gate connections are going to be parts that are probably going to be covered up anyway. So that doesn't look all that bad, I have to say, but certainly doesn't feel good in hand. Anyway, that's it for the runners. Let me go ahead and get it built up and we'll check it out. Alright guys, then here is the kit all built up, and by the luck of the Irish, this review is coming out on St. Patrick's Day here when we're working on this. So this is, of course, a very green guy, and if you saw in the live build of this, we did have one part that was kind of broken from that broken box you guys saw. The shoulder armor part there was cracked. I did glue that, and it's still got a little bit of a crack there. I'll have to work on that a bit more ultimately, but at least for now, it's working out okay, and I think that I was actually really quite impressed with this kit. Not necessarily like impressed in that, you know, I wasn't expecting a lot out of an older master grade and it didn't like blow my mind, but I'm just really happy with how this came out. Actually, I think this kit is just really nice for its age. It has a lot of charm to it. I'm just really happy with the design and the looks of this. I think it just makes for a really nice looking kit. So let's go ahead and take a closer look here, starting off with its many accessories, and then we'll get into it in some more detail. And first of all, we've got our kind of generic 1/100 scale little pilot figure here, a standing one. There is a seated pilot figure up inside the cockpit. The opening cockpit gimmick is pretty cool because it opens up, and even the flexible parts of the tubing there kind of move along with that. There is a seated pilot figure up inside there, although it's going to be very difficult to see. Then we've got the Zaku machine gun custom here, which is very similar to a standard Zaku machine gun, but you know, a little bit different in kind of the appearance. The handle on the side will go out to the side like that. The camera does not move, it's fixed in position, but you do have a cool little clear part there for that, red bits for the front and back, and otherwise everything looks really nice here. For this, there is going to be, of course, a seam line going down the length of that, and this part which is not pushed together there all the way, but yeah, seam line except for like the little barrel, and then obviously the extra parts there added on. Then we've got the beam rifle here. Nothing moves on this. The secondary handle is just fixed in this position there on the side. Although nothing moves, I guess you can remove the E-cap if you want, and I do find this to be a little bit too easy to remove. That just tends to want to fall off, so I would maybe recommend gluing that into place just so it doesn't fall off on you. But again, got seam lines on this, but a nice little bit of color separation there. See, it just fell off. A little bit of color separation there with that little red part, but other than that, just a simple little beam rifle. Gotta say, I've never really been a big fan of the kind of angle and the shape, the design of the E-cap there for this. The Marasai has like kind of the same thing going on, and I just am not really a big fan of it. But then we got the shield here. This is just going to attach onto the back side of the arm, so nothing fancy in terms of the attachment, a point, or any kind of articulation there with that, but a little bit of color separation here with the cross part there on the front. Looks nice. The back part here, this will open up, and you've got two spare E-caps there inside. Those can be removed and taken out if you want to for whatever reason. Kind of not really a whole lot of reason to do much of anything with that, I suppose. And then we've got our beam saber handle here, and again, you have two of the beam saber effect parts, but you only need one, so the other one you can just toss in your spare parts bin, but the one clear yellow beam saber effect part will plug into the handle here like so. When not in use, this can be stored on the kit. If you go around here on the back skirt, in there you can see there's a little attachment point where this can be just clipped onto the back skirt there like so. And then we've got the Heat Hawk, which is rather large in its size, and it has the two cables here at the top, a little bit of a seam line there as well. Otherwise, not going to have any color separation or anything with this one, but I do like the size and the design of this version of the Heat Hawk. It's really quite nice. And then the missile pods, this is another really cool attachment that actually will attach onto the back skirt, which I'll show you in just a minute. You have the individual parts for the missiles inside, although they're not really like clicked or locked into place, and they do tend to, I feel like they're going to fall out of there. So they're just these individual little missile parts here like this. So again, if you're not planning on doing anything else with them, I would maybe recommend just gluing those in place just so that they don't get lost and fall out accidentally. So these are on a little ball joint, and they can be kind of moved around a little bit on there, but not really a ton of articulation. This is going to plug onto that same connection point as the beam saber handle would, so you kind of have to choose one or the other. But once that's popped into place there. This also gives you a hook for storing the heat hawk on here as well, which I feel like the backpack's kind of getting in the way. That just connects onto there like so, and then yeah, these like flaps of the backpack kind of just barely fit over that. Anyway, so that is it for the weapons and accessories. Anyway, for this one thing you'll notice is that there is no connection part for attaching this onto an action base. So if you want to have this up on an action base, you will unfortunately have to resort to one of these that will fit up onto there like that for connecting this onto a base. Alternatively, probably what I would recommend you guys to do is just drill a 3mm hole in there and just be able to plug this onto a 3mm peg adapter part there for an action base. The kit is a pretty good size, being in 1/100 scale, but it's not like that heavy that I think it would break a 3mm peg if you had this up on a peg. So I mean, you got a couple of options there. A couple of other things to note here about the kit. This part here on the head will open up, and inside there you can see there's a little dial. You can turn that in order to rotate the mono eye. It's not like the 2.0 Zaku kits where when you turn the head, the mono eye automatically rotates along with the head. But the mono eye does look really nice inside there. You got the clear part for the visor, and then the clear part for the mono eye actual lens inside there, so it does look pretty good. You've got these individual pipe parts that go around the head and the torso here for the arms. That's just where we have those just rubber parts there. But the head will go up actually surprisingly like pretty far there, which is not too bad of an angle of the movement there for that down to there. I do find these parts of the backpack to be a little bit too loose. They just kind of tend to just kind of flop around wherever. So again, another part that I would maybe recommend just gluing into place kind of at whatever position you want. I think they're meant to be kind of something like that. So maybe just gluing them like that. And then as you just saw a moment ago, these little flaps on the back of the backpack here also move like that. And then there's not really too much articulation here in the waist section other than just rotation. It's on a ball joint technically, but it's not really going to move all that much. The shoulder joint will swing forward and back, and then of course you can see you got a nice big seam line there on that shoulder armor. Because of those rubber parts, we are going to be a little bit limited in terms of our arm articulation here. You can bring the arm out to the side there fair amount. You have just like a single joint here there in the elbow that's going to give you about 90 degrees there, and you can see it's going to be stretching on those soft rubber parts, so you want to be careful not to break those. Again, more seam lines here around on like the green part of the forearm. The wrist is just a ball joint, and the hands here we've got the typical like old style master grade hands where the thumb is on a ball joint. The first finger moves separately, and the second, third, and fourth fingers are molded together there. So not really the best style hands here for a master grade, but again, just going back to what I was saying earlier and what I talked about during the live stream, I think that this style of like older, especially kind of like big blocky master grade hands like this too, I think kind of fits the overall style of the kit, having this kind of old school charm to it. I think that those hands actually kind of go well with the design. But anyway, here the front skirts, these will also move individually. They're like that. You do have a little bit of detail on the underside there. The side skirts will also move up and down a little bit, even more so when the missile pods are not attached. But even though the hips are just connected via a ball and socket joint, that is going to limit your extension out to the side there for those, and also the rotation of them, although you do have a little bit, which is a fair amount. There is actually a cool bit here where the whole like joint connection part can be swung forward and back a little bit, so you do have a little bit further articulation there. And we can bring the leg up pretty far. A double joint here at the knee is going to give you a pretty good bend, not like a full bend, but more than 90 degrees there. And you don't need to worry about these rubber parts being stretched there at the knee, because those are just actually just like basically a part of the gray knee joint there on the inside, so nothing's being stretched with those. Except it was a bit odd that you have these soft rubber parts on the front which are molded in like kind of a C shape, but on the back side those are just molded as just like a straight piece, and then you have to curve it around to be able to fit like this shape. It's kind of a strange just choice in the way that those parts are molded. But the legs look really good. There's not really much in the way of seam lines on the legs other than just on the inside of the legs here, there, and there, which you can see. I mean, that's pretty much just going to be there. I would just turn that into a panel line, really, to be honest. And then down here at the feet, we got a double ball joint that will allow a pretty good range of movement there, side to side, forward and back here. The foot also has this kind of flip-flop kind of gimmick there, and underneath the feet some nice detail here. Those gray foil stickers, the only stickers we have for the kit are just going to be here for this gray section here in the toe. which does look pretty convincing, and it's not really all that noticeable as a sticker at all. But so again, overall, a really nice master grade, I feel like, for its time, and it's not going to be anything near as nice as a modern master grade in terms of the complexity, the range of articulation, the amount of details and everything on there, the part separation, all that. But even if you look at like the colors of this, it's actually pretty color accurate. I mean, there'd be like a couple of small little details here and there that are maybe not molded in the right colors, but for the most part, I mean, most everything's there. And of course, there's going to be some seam lines here and there, most particularly on the weapons. I mean, on the main body, I mean, there's not necessarily a whole lot. You got the shoulder armor up there, a couple little bits in the forearms, and then like in the insides of the lower legs that I just talked about. But I mean, there's really not, I guess, all that much. If you can get this up on an action base, I think the range of articulation is not too bad. I mean, there's definitely some limitations there, and it's definitely not going to be, nearly as dynamic as, a more modern master grade. But you also have some really nice range in terms of the weapon options you have with this, between the machine gun, the beam rifle, the heat hawk, the beam saber, and the shield. You have a nice range. Oh, and the missile pods, of course. You have a nice range of weapons and options that you have with this. So even if you got like multiple of this kit, you could have a couple of different units, with different weapon loadouts. It can make for a really cool like kind of team build. If you wanted to make like a unit of 2 or 3 of these, you can make them look a little bit different. So it's a really, really nice kit. I mean, it's not going to blow you away just in terms of how impressive it is as like a master grade or just a Gunpla kit in general, but this essentially having the complexity of something more to like a modern high grade. But it's got a great look to it. It was a fun build and makes for just a really good looking kit, I feel like, and that's always kind of the most important thing for me. For a design like this, especially from Zeta, they had a lot of very 80s looking designs, and this one fits that really well. I would definitely recommend you guys check it out if you've not built this kit yet. You can pick it up for a pretty decent price too, with it being an older master grade. So if this is not one that you've checked out already, definitely check it out. And so if you want to pick up the kit for yourself, you can check the link in the video description to USA Gundam Store. Got this there on the website, along with a lot of other great Gunpla on the site. So check all that out. And as always, guys, thanks so much for checking out the video here today. I hope you enjoyed taking a look at this kit as much as I did. If you did, make sure to leave a like. If you've not yet subscribed, you can subscribe there below as well. And as always, thank you guys so much for all of your support. See you in the next one. Later.